Hi guys, I'm 9 weeks pregnant now. So what are the symptoms I'm experiencing? Well, I got to admit I actually am experiencing quite a few of the symptoms that make this early stage of pregnancy a little bit more uncomfortable than you'd like it to be honest. I mean, look, I want to preface this video by saying that we are so lucky. So I don't want this to be a whinge fest. After everything we've been through, all the rounds of IVF, we're so delighted. And look, the high amount of nausea that I'm experiencing, that I'm going to talk about in a second, is an indicator of a strong pregnancy. So that's absolutely fantastic. Now, having said that, I think it's okay for us to admit though, that even some things that are really, really good can still be hard. And I have to admit the constant queasiness that's really hit me is hard. So I'm one of the unlucky women, I guess you could say, who does seem to get the short straw when it comes to morning sickness. So when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was sick pretty much every day. But that was 9 years ago, so I'd forgotten how hard it is. It is actually really hard. Like when you think of when you're sick, you know, when you've got a fever or you're fighting the flu or something, you just kind of, your skin's sensitive and you just want to sort of be in bed, you want to be left alone, you don't want to really face life or things. That's pretty much how you feel when you're suffering from extreme morning sickness. And yet this is the stage where I actually had someone say to me the other day, oh, you're only 9 weeks pregnant, you can still run a marathon. Like, so people that sort of have that attitude, it's like, well, actually this is the point in pregnancy when you can really feel sick. Before you're even really showing, you can still really be experiencing these symptoms. And so they say that the morning sickness peaks in week 10. So I'm week 9 and yes, it's steadily been getting worse. So what does it feel like to have morning sickness? It's hard to describe exactly. Sometimes I sort of say that it's like having from your stomach to the base of your throat just this block of sickness and badness and uncomfortableness here that you sort of wake up with, and it's just constant, and you don't want to eat, but the irony is that eating can sometimes make it a bit better. It generally is worse on an empty stomach. But I have not felt genuine hunger now for several weeks. Like I just don't feel hungry at all. Like it's constant nausea. Eating things, you sort of force yourself to eat things. You can try and choose foods that you think are going to be really nice. Like my husband, bless him, went to a gourmet cake shop and bought these little sort of tarts and these little cakes. And look, normally, wow, I would love those sorts of things, just melt in my mouth. Now there's just that everything you eat has got this taint of badness around it. Like I had watermelon, for instance, for lunch, and the watermelon just tasted dirty. It honestly tasted dirty. Like there was sort of something wrong with it. Whereas it's the most beautiful watermelon ever. The colour was brilliant. It was just, I knew it was beautiful watermelon. But it just, that's what beta-HCG does. It sort of taints everything with this sort of bad taste. And so how have I been managing? Well, I mean, most mornings I'll wake up and I'll have some sips of spring water. Starbucks hot chocolate, I'm going to give these guys a shout out. They're very, Starbucks hot chocolate has actually so far always gone down well, no matter how sick I'm feeling. So that's been a bit of a lifesaver. Tap water is hard to swallow, that doesn't taste good at all. I do have some Rubius tea that I was in a habit of having in the mornings. Unfortunately, that's quite a struggle to have now as well, which it is a challenge to stay hydrated, so you do need to try and drink. They say 3 litres a day, but wow, that is really hard if you can't really stomach tap water. So I'm trying to stay off drugs, but there is one drug that I'm pretty sure is very safe. This is a grade A drug, which means that there have been no known side effects to fetuses in either animal or human studies. Like not a single one. There are actually very few drugs that are classed as a grade A drug for pregnancy. Maxine is one of them. So even though I do really want to have a fairly drug-free pregnancy, I've got to admit I have resorted to 1, sometimes 2 of these a day just to make things bearable. And so yeah, like just and foods that you eat. Another way to describe it is pretty much I remember this when I was pregnant with Amity too. You go through every single food possible. Like you know, you think, oh, a banana would really be delicious. So you have a banana and then, oh, that was really bad. Or a really crisp apple, I'll have a really good apple, that's going to go down well. And then, oh, the apple's bad. Vegetables, nah. Something like butter chicken. I really like butter chicken. I had butter chicken the other night. No, that's ruined now. I don't think I'll have butter chicken again for the rest of the pregnancy. And just these really nice vegetable patties that we had the other night. I ate those, which I generally like a lot. No, they're ruined now too. There's no food that I can think of right this very second that I would actually like to eat. Not a single one. Just all food is just, and in fact, if you even start thinking about it, you feel the nausea rising. So it's it's a bit yucky, but look. So if you're experiencing constant queasiness, just hang in there. I'm really hoping that mine will peak around the week 10 mark and it'll start to maybe drop off in week 11. Well, I'm not sure if I'll be that lucky though. With Amity, it pretty much lasted all pregnancy. So. Look, it's just one of those things. Yeah, you just got to try and live every day with it as best you can. So something else that's reared its head in the last couple of days is itchy skin. So the last few evenings I've been noticing that I've been scratching my skin more and it's been feeling very sensitive. And some of you may not know this, but my husband is actually an obstetrician. So I do have a doctor in the house. And so when I started to scratch my skin, he said, are your palms itchy? And I said, no, not really. That was a couple of nights ago. And he said, well, that's good because itchy palms can be a bad sign. And I thought, oh, a bad sign of what? But unfortunately, last night it really hit. I actually had a really bad night last night. I went to bed, I was suffering from a lot of heartburn. I even had heartburn before I had dinner actually. And last night's dinner was really plain. I didn't eat much. I just had some steamed vegetables, and I thought, no, I'm going to try and get away with not having Gaviscon, which is safe in pregnancy. But like I said, I don't want to take too many drugs at all. But anyway, so last night I was already really suffering from heartburn. I went to bed. My hands were really starting to itch last night. And I fell asleep briefly, but then woke up after a couple of hours. Just the heartburn was unbearable for a start, and I was just itchy all over. My skin just went into a meltdown of itchiness. Like my legs were itchy. I was rubbing my belly, my arms, and my hands. Like just, I was nearly destroying my hands at one point in the night. I was just, oh, you know when you just start scratching and you just cannot stop? It just took over. Like everywhere was itchy. My scalp was itchy, my back was itchy, my feet were itchy, everything, my whole skin went into this just itchy, crazy phase. And so I was trying to manage that, trying to manage the heartburn. In desperation, I did end up having my first bit of Gaviscon. So I had a little bit of heartburn about a week ago, and Luke had said, that's my husband, he'd said Gaviscon is fine, but I hadn't taken any yet. But last night I did succumb, so I had some Gaviscon. The first bit, the dosage is between 10 to 20 mils. I only had about 10 mils at the start, and it didn't really do anything, unfortunately. And I tried to sleep for about another hour, trying not to scratch myself too much. Ended up having a little bit more Gaviscon because I hadn't actually shaken the bottle. That's one of the instructions. You're meant to shake the bottle first, so I think maybe some of the active ingredients sinks a little bit. So I had a little top up of a few more mils of that. But my hands were so bad that I put this Dermese cream on them and tried to put some gloves on them to stop myself from scratching them. But even then you just can't stop it, you know, you're just rubbing them and just... So I finally fell back to sleep. I woke up covered in hives. Even my forehead was swollen. Like my forehead had come up in hives. It's very much faded now. Like I know we've tried to take a little bit of footage of it, but it's nothing like what it was first thing this morning when I got up, because heat makes it worse. So of course that is a little bit of a cause for concern. So I went over to QML today for an urgent blood test to check my liver function. So if you're getting itchiness all over, it can be a sign of the very beginnings of a condition called cholestasis in pregnancy. Unfortunately, Scandinavian women are a bit more prone to it. And It shouldn't be coming on this early though, but what it's caused by basically is estrogen can block the little ducts in your bile, in your liver, sorry, blocking the production or the secretion of bile. So it's to do with your liver, and that can then cause itchiness, skin itchiness. That's basically the symptom of it. So we're going to be waiting for those blood test results to see what my liver function is like. I'm really hoping that my liver's going to be okay, and this was just somehow my skin's just overreacted, because your skin does definitely get more sensitive in pregnancy. But I have to admit that was very uncomfortable and sort of worrying when I got up this morning. And look, it's still itchy in parts, but it's not too bad now in the cool of the day. It will flare up probably at night. So that has just come up suddenly. The one upside of that though is that is also an indication of what is hopefully a strong pregnancy. So the pregnancy is going along strongly, but yeah, it can cause a few issues for the mum to be, unfortunately. Yes, and so heartburn. So that's probably the third symptom I am now suffering from, unfortunately. So the way to manage that so far for me, so it's very difficult in pregnancy because of all these symptoms. You're trying to manage them all, and yet the answer to one symptom can make another symptom worse. And sparkling water is a classic example. So sparkling water is a lifesaver for nausea. The science behind it is the carbonation actually can neutralise the acids in your stomach. So there is a reason why sparkling water can make you feel less nauseous. However, sparkling water makes heartburn worse. So you're trying to manage one symptom and making another symptom worse. So what I'm now having to do with sparkling water is I have it in the mornings and during the day, but I don't have any sparkling water at night, because heartburn's definitely worse at night when you lie down. That's when obviously the sphincter in your esophagus, the acids can rise up more. Obviously it's just gravity. When you're standing, hopefully that the acids are not always, but moving downwards. But when you lie down, it can just slide along, and it feels terrible. And heartburn, for those of you who haven't experienced heartburn, that's an incredibly painful feeling. It's just this burning block of pain. Again, it's that block. It's a little bit like the nausea. It sort of affects this whole region of your body, and it's just this sort of dull burning. It's not always dull, mind you. It can be stinging burning, but just this real uncomfortable feeling of tightness, block pain that sort of creeps up, and real burning sort of sensation. And so I'm trying to eat small amounts at night now to try and help that as well. And mind you, with the nausea, I don't really feel like eating much at all either. But again, with the nausea, sometimes really filling your stomach up to the brim can actually dampen down the nausea. But again, filling up your stomach to the brim is just going to make your heartburn worse. So what do you do? So another symptom that does come and go a little bit for me is headaches. Thankfully, so far, I haven't experienced too many headaches, but today I've got a headache. I'm not sure if that's associated with the itchiness. I mean, look, my scalp's itchy. It's just when I touch any part of my body, it just feels itchy. But yes, a bit of a bad headache today, actually. I have been fairly lucky. The headaches haven't been too bad though. But so that's how I'm travelling at the moment at 9 weeks pregnant. Look, like I said at the beginning, it's not meant to be a whinge fest. We're really, really so grateful to have gotten to this point, and so very hopeful of a healthy baby being born in December. The actual due date for this baby is December 10. So we have a due date. Really hopeful that things will go okay. And I guess I just wanted to say, in terms of getting through these symptoms with, the nausea and the heartburn, the headaches, whatever you have to go through, it's really good to just keep in mind what you're doing it for. And the other night, my husband was giving me my progesterone shots in my backside, which I still have to get those intramuscular progesterone shots, which, yes, they hurt. And my daughter came over and held my hand while I was having the injection, and then she wrapped her arms around me and she said, "I love you, Mum." And that's what it's for, like when your kid wraps their arm around you, there is no feeling like it in the world. It's just the best feeling ever. And So whatever discomfort you have to go through, yeah, it can feel hard, and yeah, there's tears, but it's really worth it. It's so worth it.